2 weeks later.
Hey, good morning. Welcome back to my channel. That's right, I am the Duck Man. We were doing a little contest, a little over a week ago. Unfortunately, I lost track of it. I've been busy with a lot of things and got a little bit sick and just work. It's been bad. We'll talk about more of that in another Q&A video. But we were doing a contest trying to figure out what would happen to the phosphoric acid on some of these Volkswagen pieces that were treated with it. We, of course, did 2 pieces outside at 2 different times of day. We did 2 pieces inside at 2 different times of day, and a few other test parts. And I told those of you that in the comments, if you had guessed accurately what would happen to these metal, that you would win the contest, but I don't know that anybody guessed it. Even I didn't get it right. I didn't know what to expect anyway. I mean, anything that I would guess was wrong. But as always, like, comment, subscribe. Check out duckshit.net right up here in the corner, so that way you guys can find all of my other YouTube channels and all of my other social media links. We're going to roll that intro, and when we get back, we're going to start uncovering this stuff and have a little discussion as to what we see. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back. Alright, we are back. Now, some of this stuff came as quite a surprise to me, and some of the stuff, well, not so much. Alright, first thing, in the glass, this was the sand that came out of my sandblaster. Now, looking in direct sunlight here, you notice the sand just kind of turned a little darker than it was. It was formerly, nearly white, and it turned kind of blackish, and that's kind of to be expected because, well, that's what phosphoric acid does. Damn mosquitoes. I don't know if you saw that damn mosquito just land on my hand. Anyways, phosphoric acid does have a tendency to turn iron oxide into black iron phosphate, and that's what you're looking at there. So that's not much of a surprise. The next thing we got is we got that dime. Here's the dime, which was all green. Looking at it here, it's not green anymore. There are some black spots on it, and I think that might have actually just appeared from the thing having sat outside for the last week. But I treated it, the green completely disappeared, and those spots just reappeared from it sitting. So again, this wasn't part of the contest, it was just one of those extra things I was doing, but I thought it'd be kind of neat. Now the copper, this is really, really interesting. This was not part of the contest, but the copper, remember, as we were putting the acid on it, it started to turn bright and shiny. And that, it took off the copper oxide that was on there, which was nearly black, and it took it off almost immediately. And as I understand, phosphoric acid, damn mosquitoes, phosphoric acid will only react with the oxides that were in the compound and not necessarily with the copper alone. So that's why it got so bright and shiny. It took off the oxides. But when it sat outside, because it was so bright and shiny, look what the humidity did to it. Now, this was not from the acid. This took about a week for it to happen. It started to turn green about 2 days ago. We had a storm front come through, which actually was weird. It parted like Moses parted the sea. The storm went around Pensacola, completely missing us, and then tore through the peninsula. And poor Earl down there, the guy who's going to be doing all my paint work on Eleanor, got blasted with some really, really nasty hail and everything else. I mean, the storm just tore him up. But for me, we didn't get anything over here. I mean, just the humidity went way up, and the temperatures then fell the next day. But no rain or anything. Just that was it. Well, anyway, I think the humidity is what caused the copper to turn that greenish color, and that's what you're looking at there. It wasn't the acid, because that copper was shiny for a week, bright and shiny. And the ducks are fighting inside. I'm gonna have to go reprimand. We'll be back in just a second. Just before I hit that record button, there's the mosquito that's been buzzing me. Got him. Bye. F***ers. Anyway, getting back on here. Looking at number 1. Number 1, this was steel, of course. It was sandblasted. Once it got sandblasted, it was allowed to soak in phosphoric acid, and it sat outside. I don't know if you could tell. Let me try putting this shade. It might be a little easier to see. I think the sunlight might be just too bright for the camera to handle. There we go. We'll look at it again. You see, it turned gray, and it's mottled, and the ducks are fighting again. But it's mottled. You see, it's got spots. It's not consistently covered, but it did turn gray, as to be expected. It's just a couple different colors of gray, and a little bit of white powder does appear. This is the stuff that you need to clean off of the surface before you do try to paint it. So as you can see there, this is pretty typical of what you would expect from phosphoric acid. Now the next piece that we did, I'm going to skip to number 3 because number 2 and 4 were the ones we did on the inside. But 3 was one we did on the outside. We did this at night. Now this was done at night, outside in the weather and left outside. This one, unlike the other, which was done during the day, you really can't see a whole lot of difference. You know, it's of course I didn't do the back side of it. It's got that mottled color, but they're nearly identical. I really don't see any difference, so I don't think it was necessarily just the UV light that may have caused the difference in this. But here, this is where things get a little interesting. Number 2 is the one that was done on the inside. Number 2 was done daytime, but on the inside. And you notice we have less of a mottled look to it. It's more of a uniform color. This is just a spill that I had on it in the dark that I couldn't see. So that was actually me. When I was doing number 4, I dripped. What you can tell is that it's not only consistently colored, but if I put it in the sunlight, you can see it's ever so slightly bluish green. Ever so slightly. I mean, not nearly to the extent that some of the other components were, but it's ever so slightly bluish green, but barely. Barely. I mean, you know, I'm probably just going to call this gray, but it's more bluish green than the other piece was that I started out with. So there is a difference. There actually is a difference, and I can see it. I don't know whether or not the camera is sensitive enough to the colors to see that, but yeah, I can actually see it. The one that was done on the inside has a little bit of color. But looking at the last piece that we have here, 4, and this was allowed to sit outside in the sun, unfortunately, which has corrupted the results slightly. But 4 came out damn near black. This one was just really dark. And looking at these two pieces, 3 and 4, you can actually see the difference. It's just this one is just a whole lot darker than this one is. I mean, it's just tremendously darker, and it was even darker the day that I brought them outside to look at them myself. The next day, I mean, it was just so much darker. It's lightened up, and it's probably just been the sunlight that has done it. But there's definitely a difference in the color. This one is just, yeah, it's definitely a lot darker. Well, anyway, that was kind of a surprise that 4, which was done inside at night, turned black. 2 that was inside that was done during the day turned gray with a slight greenish blue tint to it. I mean, so slight it's barely even discernible. 1 was mottled, 3 was also mottled, virtually no difference over here. Copper turned bright and shiny. This copper never turned green before, and this thing was always actually kept outside. Right next to the garage door where I did a lot of the welding. I just kind of kick it in the corner. It was always available when I needed it. And it never turned bluish green before because it had that brownish black coating that copper turns when it goes oxide. I don't know what the difference is between the brown and the green that happens to copper. I'll have to actually do a little research on that and find out. But otherwise, the green coppery stuff that was on here on the dime actually did get all eaten off. So anyway, we don't have a winner on this one. I will double check and go through everybody. I am, of course, the judge, and see who is deserving of the $25 gift certificate. But at this time, I don't think anybody won it. I really don't think anybody won it. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to give the gift certificate away, but what's going to happen is I'm going to do a random drawing on it instead. I'm going to use one of them social media auto-generated comment selector type programs and we'll figure out who the winner is, and we're going to make sure that you get the prize that was provided by Volkswagen Planet. Volkswagen Planet donated a Wolfsburgs West $25 gift certificate, and I'm going to be sharing that with one of you. So thank you very much for participating. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to pluck that dingle belly, and check out duckshit.net up there in the corner. That way you too can find my social media links and find me on. Anyways, we're done with this experiment. I'm tired of this crap. I'm going to go back inside and blow my nose. Thanks for watching. Blah. Mm-hmm.